Mama Yetunde was a woman everyone in the family both respected and feared. She carried herself with authority, her words were final, and no one dared to challenge her decisions. As the matriarch of the family, she had built a legacy of power and control, ensuring that every decision went her way. People admired her strength, but behind that admiration was also deep fear of her sharp tongue, her unshakable will, and the way she could make or break a person's place in the family. But if there was one thing Mama Yetunde was most protective of, it was her son, Jabari. He was her pride, her greatest achievement. She had raised him to be strong, successful, and disciplined. In her eyes, no woman in the world was ever going to be good enough for him. She'd seen too many women who, in her mind, were either too weak, too independent, or too unworthy to stand beside her son. She had a vision for Jabari's future, a wealthy, well-bred wife who would know her place and respect Mama Yetunde's authority. Over the years, many young women had tried to enter Jabari's life, but none had succeeded in earning his mother's approval. Mama Yetunde had her ways, subtle manipulation, harsh criticism, or even direct interference to ensure that they never stayed for long. She believed she was protecting her son from heartbreak and unworthy women, but deep down, she was also afraid of losing control over Jabari, afraid that another woman might take her place in his life. In the family, whispers of her controlling ways spread, but no one had the courage to confront her. She had built a reputation too strong to be questioned. People often wondered, would Jabari ever find a woman who could stand against Mama Yetunde's iron grip? And if he did, would she survive the battle that was sure to come? Jabari was the kind of man who turned heads wherever he went. Tall, confident, and ambitious, he had built his own business from the ground up, becoming one of the most successful young entrepreneurs in the city. Women from wealthy and prestigious families admired him, and their parents saw him as the perfect son-in-law. His mother, Mama Yetunde, took great pride in his success and had already planned the kind of wife he would marry, one from a wealthy, respectable family, a woman who would enhance their status and bring even more power to their name. But love does not follow plans. Jabari's heart led him to Nia, a woman unlike any his mother had chosen for him. Nia was beautiful, but it wasn't just her looks that drew him in. It was her mind, her heart, and her spirit. She was a school teacher, passionate about shaping young minds, and she carried herself with a quiet strength. She had worked hard for everything she had, coming from a humble background where nothing was handed to her. Yet, she never let hardship define her. Instead, it made her stronger. She was kind, intelligent, and independent, with a warmth that made Jabari feel at home in a way he never had before. From the moment they met, Jabari knew Nia was different. She didn't treat him like a trophy or a status symbol. She saw the man behind the wealth, the dreamer, the thinker, the man who sometimes needed someone to remind him to slow down and breathe. She challenged him in ways no other woman had before, making him think deeper, love harder, and see the world differently. He had dated women from his mother's social circle before, but with Nia, everything felt real. Jabari's decision to be with Nia was not just about love, it was about choosing the life he wanted. He knew his mother would never approve. Mama Yetunde believed a woman's background determined her worth, and she had already handpicked several high society women for him to choose from. But Jabari refused to let his mother's expectations dictate his happiness. When he finally told Mama Yetunde about Nia, she reacted just as he had expected, outraged, offended, and deeply disappointed. A school teacher? She scoffed, her voice dripping with disapproval. Jabari, do you know what people will say? Do you know how this will reflect on our family? You have the world at your feet and you choose her? Jabari stood his ground. Yes, I choose her, because she loves me for me, not for my money or my name. She is everything I have ever wanted in a wife. Mama Yetunde's eyes narrowed. She was not a woman who accepted defeat easily. We will see about that, she muttered. Jabari knew his mother would not give up without a fight, but no matter what she did, his heart belonged to Nia, and he was ready to fight for her. Jabari and Nia were ready to start their life together, but there was one big problem: Mama Yetunde. She had made it clear from the beginning that she did not approve of Nia, and when she heard about the wedding plans, her anger only grew stronger. In her mind, this marriage was a disaster. How could her only son, the pride of the family, marry a woman from a humble background? She refused to accept it. At first, she tried to talk sense into Jabari. She begged, pleaded, and even cried, hoping he would change his mind. "You don't understand, my son," she said, her voice filled with desperation. "This girl will bring you nothing but trouble. You need a wife who matches your status, a woman who can help you grow, not drag you down." But Jabari stood firm. "Mama, I love Nia. This is my life, and this is my choice," he said, looking her straight in the eyes. Mama Yetunde realized words alone would not stop the wedding. So, she decided to take action. She started spreading rumors about Nia, telling family members and friends that she was a gold digger, only after Jabari's wealth. She even visited the elders of the family, hoping they would convince Jabari to reconsider. "This girl is a nobody," she told them. "She is only with my son because of his money. She will destroy his future." But the more she tried to turn people against Nia, the more Jabari defended his fiancée. His love for Nia was unshakable. No rumor, no pressure, and no family member could change his mind. Seeing that nothing was working, Mama Yetunde became desperate. She secretly met with Nia and offered her money to leave Jabari. She placed a large envelope filled with cash on the table and said, "Take this and walk away. Find someone else. My son will never marry you." Nia looked at the money, then at Mama Yetunde. She took a deep breath and calmly pushed the envelope back. "I am not with Jabari for his money. I love him, and no amount of money will change that," she said firmly. Mama Yetunde was furious. How could this girl refuse such an offer? That's when she decided to go even further. She tried to delay the wedding by cancelling vendors, bribing event planners to mess up the arrangements, and even refusing to bless the union, hoping that Jabari would get frustrated and call it off. But Jabari was not a boy anymore. He was a man, and he was ready to fight for the woman he loved. He stepped in and took control of the wedding plans himself. Every problem his mother created, he found a solution. Every obstacle she put in their way, he pushed through. Finally, the wedding day arrived. Mama Yetunde refused to attend, making it clear that she did not approve. But despite her absence, the ceremony was beautiful. Surrounded by true friends and family who supported their love, Jabari and Nia exchanged vows, promising to stand by each other no matter what. As Nia walked down the aisle, looking breathtaking in her wedding dress, Jabari knew he had made the right choice. He had fought for this moment, and nothing, not even his mother's disapproval, could take it away from him. The battle was over, but Jabari also knew one thing for sure. His mother was not done. The real challenge had just begun. Nia thought the hardest part was over. She had married the love of her life, despite all the obstacles, and now she was ready to build a happy home with Jabari. But she had no idea that her biggest challenge was just beginning. After the wedding, Nia moved into Jabari's family home, a large and beautiful house filled with history and tradition. But it was also a house ruled by one person, Mama Yetunde, and from the moment Nia stepped inside, she knew she was not welcome. Mama Yetunde barely spoke to her, and when she did, it was only to criticize. "Look at the way you walk, so slow like you have no purpose. Is this how you will run a home?" she scoffed. "You don't even know how to arrange a proper meal for your husband. What did your mother teach you?" Nia tried her best to ignore the harsh words, but it was not just words. Mama Yetunde treated her like a servant. She would wake Nia up early, demanding that she cook breakfast for the entire household, even though there were housemaids available. If anything went wrong in the house, Nia was blamed. If Jabari's shirt was not ironed perfectly, Mama Yetunde would shake her head and say, "You see? I told you she is not good enough for you." She made Nia do chores that no daughter-in-law had ever been asked to do. While other women in the family were treated with respect, Nia was given endless tasks, scrubbing floors, washing dishes, and serving tea like a maid. And if she dared to rest, Mama Yetunde would roll her eyes and mutter, "Lazy girls these days. All they want is a rich husband, but no hard work." Jabari, blinded by love and respect for his mother, did not see what was happening. Whenever Nia tried to talk to him, he would laugh and say, "Mama is just old-fashioned. She is trying to help you adjust." He did not see the cold glares, the whispered insults, or the way Nia's heart broke a little more each day. Nia wanted to win Mama Yetunde's love, so she remained patient, hoping that time would soften her mother-in-law's heart. She cooked the best meals, always greeted her with respect, and never talked back, no matter how harsh the words. But no matter what she did, it was never enough. One evening, after a long day of being ordered around, Nia sat alone in the kitchen, staring at the cold cup of tea in front of her. She felt exhausted, not just in her body, but in her soul. How long can I keep doing this? She whispered to herself. But deep inside, she knew one thing. She was not ready to give up. Not yet. She had fought for this love, and she was not going to let Mama Yetunde break her so easily. What she didn't know was that the battle had only just begun. Nia had always believed that kindness could change even the hardest of hearts. She thought that if she was patient, respectful, and loving, Mama Yetunde would one day accept her. So, despite all the insults, the harsh treatment, and the never-ending criticism, she endured it all with grace. She never raised her voice, never complained to anyone, and never showed her pain. She simply smiled and carried on, hoping that one day things would get better. But instead of softening, Mama Yetunde only became harsher. She saw Nia's silence as weakness and used it to push her even further. Every day, she found something new to criticize. "Your food has no taste," she would say after Nia had spent hours cooking a meal. "Jabari used to eat better before you came." If Nia dressed up nicely, Mama Yetunde would shake her head and mutter, "Instead of wasting time looking pretty, why don't you learn how to take care of a household properly?" It didn't matter how hard Nia tried. Nothing she did was ever enough. If she cleaned, Mama Yetunde would find a spot of dust and call her careless. If she woke up early to prepare breakfast, Mama Yetunde would say, "So slow. By the time you finish, the whole house is already awake." If Nia kept quiet, she was called weak. If she tried to speak, she was called disrespectful. It was a game Nia could never win. The worst part was that Jabari didn't see any of it. He still believed that his mother was just trying to guide Nia, helping her become the perfect wife. Whenever Nia tried to talk about her struggles, Jabari would smile and say, "Mama is just old-fashioned. Don't take it personally." His words cut deeper than any insult from Mama Yetunde. The one person who should have protected her couldn't even see her pain. Nia felt like a stranger in her own home. She had given up everything to be with Jabari, yet every day she felt more alone. She missed the warmth of her own family, the love of her parents, the comfort of a home where she was valued. Here, in this grand house, she was nothing more than a shadow, a woman fighting to belong, but always being pushed away. One night, after another long day of criticism and endless chores, Nia sat by the window, staring at the dark sky. Tears filled her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had promised herself that she would not break. But how much more could she take? How long could she keep fighting a battle where the enemy was not just her mother-in-law, but also the silence of the man she loved? Little did Nia know her silent suffering was only leading to a breaking point, one that would change everything. Jabari loved Nia with all his heart. He had chosen her, despite his mother's protests, fought for her when the world said she wasn't good enough, and promised to protect her forever. In his mind, their love had already conquered everything. But what Jabari didn't realize was that love alone wasn't enough. From the moment Nia moved into their home, Mama Yetunde had made it her mission to make life miserable for her. But she was careful. Her cruelty was never obvious when Jabari was around. Instead, she worked like a shadow, throwing sharp words and insults when he wasn't looking, making Nia feel small in the very house she was supposed to call home. Yet, Jabari saw none of it. To him, his mother was just being her usual self. Strong, traditional, and overprotective. She had always been tough, even on him, so he didn't see anything unusual about the way she treated Nia. When Nia finally gathered the courage to tell him about her struggles, he smiled and pulled her into his arms. "Mama is just old-fashioned," he said softly. "She's not trying to hurt you. She just wants you to be the best wife you can be." Nia wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that Mama Yetunde would eventually warm up to her, that things would get better. But they didn't. Every day, Mama Yetunde found new ways to break her spirit. When Nia woke up early to prepare breakfast, Mama Yetunde would shake her head and say, "Too slow. By now a real wife would have finished cooking." If she finished early, Mama Yetunde would sigh, "So rushed. Do you even care about feeding my son properly?" No matter what Nia did, she was always wrong. Jabari never noticed how exhausted she looked at the dinner table. He didn't see the sadness in her eyes when his mother loudly praised other women from wealthy families, saying, If Jabari had married a woman like that, life would be so much easier for him. Even on the nights when Nia cried herself to sleep, Jabari didn't understand. He would hold her close, kiss her forehead and say, "You're just stressed, my love. Mama will come around. Just give her time." But time was not healing the wounds. It was making them deeper. One day, Nia forgot to add salt to Mama Yetunde's soup. It was a small mistake, but the way her mother-in-law reacted made it feel like a crime. "You can't even cook a simple meal?" she spat. "What kind of wife are you?" Nia lowered her head, swallowing her pain. She had learned that defending herself only made things worse. But when Jabari walked into the kitchen, Mama Yetunde's entire attitude changed. Her voice softened, and she smiled sweetly. "Ah, my son, you must be so hungry. Don't worry, I made sure the food is perfect for you." Jabari grinned, kissed his mother on the cheek, and sat down to eat, completely unaware that his wife was holding back tears just a few feet away. He didn't see the way Nia's hands trembled when she carried the tray. He didn't hear the silent sighs of exhaustion when she lay down at night. He didn't notice the way her smile had become something forced, something empty. He was blind. Blind to his mother's cruelty. Blind to his wife's pain. But the truth had a way of revealing itself. And soon, Jabari would be forced to see what he had been ignoring all along. But would it be too late? One morning, Nia woke up feeling different. For weeks, she had been feeling tired, dizzy, and nauseous, but she thought it was just stress from everything she was going through in the house. However, deep inside, she had a feeling, one that filled her heart with both excitement and fear. She decided to take a pregnancy test, her hands shaking as she waited for the result. When the 2 pink lines appeared, tears welled up in her eyes. She was pregnant. A new life was growing inside her, a part of her and Jabari. For the first time in months, she felt hope. Maybe this was the miracle they needed. Maybe Mama Yetunde would finally accept her. Maybe, just maybe, this child would bring their family together. With a heart full of emotions, Nia waited for the right moment to tell Jabari. That evening, as they sat together in their room, she took his hands and whispered, "Jabari, we're going to have a baby." Jabari's eyes widened in shock before a huge smile spread across his face. "A baby? Are you serious?" He lifted her into his arms, spinning her around. "This is the best news ever." He kissed her forehead, his excitement filling the room. For a moment, Nia forgot all the pain she had been enduring. She forgot the harsh words, the insults, the loneliness. At that moment, everything felt perfect, but perfection never lasted long in that house. The next morning, Nia and Jabari shared the news with Mama Yetunde. Nia stood nervously as Jabari, still beaming with joy, announced, "Mama, Nia is pregnant. You're going to be a grandmother." Instead of smiling, Mama Yetunde's face darkened. She folded her arms, her eyes cold and sharp. "Pregnant?" she repeated, her voice laced with suspicion. Nia's heart sank. This wasn't the reaction she had hoped for. Mama Yetunde let out a bitter laugh. "How convenient," she sneered. "You think I don't see what's happening? You trapped my son with a child, didn't you?" The words hit Nia like a slap. "No, Mama, it's not like that." "Enough," Mama Yetunde snapped. "I knew you were clever, but I didn't think you'd stoop this low. You knew Jabari would never leave you if you gave him a child. So you planned this, didn't you?" Nia's eyes filled with tears. "I would never do that," she whispered, her voice breaking. Jabari stepped forward, his smile gone. "Mama, stop this. Nia didn't trap me. This is our child, my child, and I'm happy." But Mama Yetunde wasn't listening. She turned to Nia, her gaze filled with disgust. "This changes nothing. You are still not the woman I wanted for my son. And don't think this child will make me accept you." Nia clutched her stomach protectively. The joy she had felt just hours ago was gone, replaced by pain and humiliation. Jabari tried to comfort her, but the damage had already been done. Instead of bringing them together, the pregnancy had only made Mama Yetunde's hatred stronger. As Nia lay in bed that night, she placed a hand on her belly and whispered, "I will protect you, my little one. No matter what, I will fight for you." She had been enduring everything in silence, hoping things would change. But now, it wasn't just about her anymore. It was about her baby. And for the first time, she realized she couldn't stay silent forever. The days after Nia's pregnancy announcement were filled with tension. Mama Yetunde barely spoke to her, and when she did, It was only sharp words or cold glares. The house, once meant to be a home, now felt like a battlefield. Nia tried to stay strong for her baby, but deep inside, fear crept into her heart. Would her child grow up in a house filled with so much bitterness? One afternoon, Nia felt suffocated by the heavy air inside the house and decided to take a walk. She needed fresh air, a moment to clear her mind. As she walked through the quiet streets, lost in thought, she heard a gentle yet firm voice behind her. "Child, you carry life, but you also carry danger." Nia turned around quickly. Standing before her was an old woman, her eyes deep and wise, her skin wrinkled with time but full of strength. She wore a simple but beautiful wrapper, her silver-grey hair tied back neatly. Though Nia had never seen her before, there was something familiar about her presence, something comforting yet mysterious. "Who are you?" Nia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The old woman smiled, her eyes filled with understanding. "My name is Mama Asi. I have seen many things, my dear, and I have seen women like you, women who suffer in silence, hoping love will change a heart made of stone." Nia's breath caught in her throat. How did this stranger know? Mama Asi stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Your spirit is strong, but the energy around you is heavy. There is a shadow in your home, a force trying to break you." She placed a gentle but firm hand on Nia's belly. "You must protect yourself, and you must protect your child." A chill ran down Nia's spine. "Protect myself? From what?" Mama Essie sighed, her expression growing serious. "From the hands that pretend to bless you but truly wish you harm. From the words that seem ordinary but carry poison. From those who smile at your child but do not want to see them born in happiness." Nia felt her knees grow weak. "Are you saying Mama Yetunde?" The old woman didn't answer directly. Instead, she said, "Not everyone who shares your blood wishes you well, and not every mother's love is pure. A woman who controls her son like a puppet will not stop until she controls everything, including the child inside you." Tears welled in Nia's eyes. She had felt so alone, like no one else saw what she was going through. But this woman, this stranger, saw everything. "What do I do?" she whispered. Mama Essie took Nia's hands in hers, her grip surprisingly strong. "You must stop waiting for love where there is none. Stop hoping a fire will turn into water. Protect yourself, my child. Speak up, be strong, and most importantly, never let your silence be the reason you lose what is most precious to you." Before Nia could ask anything more, the old woman turned and walked away, disappearing around the corner as if she had never been there. Nia stood frozen, her heart pounding. She didn't fully understand everything Mama Essie had told her, but one thing was clear: she could no longer ignore what was happening. For the first time, she truly saw the danger she was in, and for the first time, she knew she had to fight back. Nia had endured many things in silence: the insults, the cruel looks, the endless criticism, all from the woman who was supposed to be her family. She had swallowed her pain, hoping time would soften Mama Yetunde's heart, but deep inside, she knew something had to change. She just didn't know when or how. Then, that day came, the day everything broke. It started like any other evening in the house. Nia was in the kitchen, carefully preparing dinner, her baby bump now visible beneath her dress. She moved slowly, her body exhausted, but she pushed through. She wanted peace. She wanted to show Mama Yetunde that she could be a good wife, a good daughter-in-law, a good mother. But peace was something Mama Yetunde refused to give her. As Nia carried a tray to the dining table, Mama Yetunde suddenly slapped it out of her hands. The dishes crashed to the floor, food spilling everywhere. Nia gasped, stepping back in shock. "Enough!" Mama Yetunde's voice thundered through the house. "I will not allow you to stay in this house for one more day." Nia's heart pounded. "Mama, what did I do?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mama Yetunde pointed at her belly, her eyes filled with anger. "You think I don't know what you're doing? You trapped my son with this child, and now you expect me to welcome you. You are not part of this family, and you never will be. Get out of my house." Tears filled Nia's eyes. She placed a protective hand over her stomach, feeling her baby kick as if sensing the danger. "Mama, please. This is my home too. Jabari and I—" "Jabari?" Mama Yetunde laughed bitterly. "You mean my son? The boy I raised? You don't belong to him, and neither does that child. Get out before I throw you out myself! Nia's body shook. She felt helpless, powerless. Then suddenly, enough! The voice was deep, strong, and filled with a kind of anger she had never heard before. Jabari. He stood at the entrance, his fists clenched, his face dark with fury. His eyes moved from his mother to Nia, then to the shattered dishes on the floor. And in that moment, something inside him changed. For months, he had ignored the signs. He had brushed off Nia's pain, convinced himself that his mother's words were harmless. But now, seeing his pregnant wife trembling, his mother screaming, the truth finally hit him like a storm. His mother was the problem, and he had been blind for too long. He stepped forward, standing between Nia and his mother. "You will not speak to my wife like that ever again," he said, his voice dangerously calm. Mama Yetunde gasped. "Jabari, how dare you?" "No, Mama," he cut her off. "How dare you? How dare you treat Nia this way? She is my wife, the mother of my child, and I will not allow you to hurt her any longer." Mama Yetunde's face twisted with shock. "You're choosing her over your own mother." Jabari's eyes didn't waver. "I'm choosing my family. Nia and our baby are my family now, and if you cannot respect that, then we will leave." Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Nia's breath caught in her throat. She had dreamed of this moment, the moment Jabari would finally see the truth. But now that it was happening, all she could feel was sadness. Why did it have to come to this? Without another word, Jabari took her hand and led her to their room. He packed their bags quickly, his movements sharp and filled with anger. Nia watched him, tears streaming down her face. "Jabari, are you sure?" she whispered. He turned to her, his expression softening. He cupped her face gently. "I should have seen it earlier, Nia. I should have protected you. I won't fail you again." And with that, they walked out of the house together. For the first time in a long time, Nia felt something she had forgotten. Freedom. Days after leaving Mama Yetunde's house, Nia and Jabari started a new life in their own home. It was quiet, peaceful, something Nia had not felt in a long time, but deep inside, something still troubled her. Why was Mama Yetunde like that? Why did she hate her so much? Was it really just because of her background, or was there something more? One afternoon, while Jabari was at work, there was a knock at the door. Nia opened it and found Mama Essie standing there, her wise eyes watching her carefully. "Mama Essie!" Nia gasped, surprised, but relieved to see the old woman again. Mama Essie stepped inside, her presence filling the room with something deep, something that felt like both warning and wisdom. She looked at Nia, her gaze falling to her belly. "The child inside you is a blessing, but you must still protect yourself," she said softly. Nia frowned. "Why? I have left Mama Yetunde's house now. She cannot hurt me anymore." Mama Essie sighed, shaking her head. "You think leaving her house means you have escaped her? My child, you do not know the kind of woman she is." Nia felt a chill run down her spine. "Then tell me," she whispered. Mama Essie sat down and took a deep breath before she spoke. "Mama Yetunde is not just a controlling mother. She is a woman who has spent her whole life destroying love. She has done it before, many times." Nia's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" Mama Essie's eyes darkened as she continued. "Mama Yetunde was once a young woman in love, just like you. She had a husband, a man she claimed to love deeply. But her love was not the kind that nourished. It was the kind that suffocated, the kind that controlled. She wanted to own him, just as she wants to own Jabari." Nia swallowed hard, listening intently. But a man is not a puppet, and love is not a cage. Her husband could not take it anymore. He left. He ran, leaving her behind with their only child, Jabari. Nia's eyes widened in shock. "Jabari's father left her?" Mama Essie nodded. "Yes, and since that day, she made a promise to herself. No woman would ever take her son away from her. She raised Jabari with love, yes, but also with control. She made him believe that she was the only woman he would ever need. Every time he showed interest in a woman, she found a way to push them away. She destroyed his relationships before they could bloom. You are the first woman who has ever fought to stay." Nia's hands trembled. It all made sense now. Mama Yetunde didn't hate her because of where she came from. She hated her because she was a threat. The first woman who refused to bend. The first woman who refused to leave. "She will not stop," Mama Essie warned. "She has lost control over Jabari, and that will make her desperate. You must be strong, Nia. You must be ready for anything. Nia placed a hand over her belly, feeling the gentle movements of her baby. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for her child, for her marriage, for her happiness. For the first time, she truly understood who Mama Yetunde was, and for the first time, she knew exactly what she had to do. Mama Yetunde had always been a woman of power. People in the community feared her, respected her, and never dared to question her ways. She carried herself like a queen, believing she controlled everything, especially her son, Jabari. But now, things were different. Something had changed. Jabari no longer called her every morning like he used to. He no longer visited her house with gifts. He no longer asked for her opinion before making decisions. It was as if a wall had been built between them, a wall she could not break. At first, she told herself it was just temporary, but days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The distance between them only grew. She tried calling him. "Jabari, my son, why don't you visit me anymore?" His response was polite, but distant. "Mama, I've been busy with Nia and the baby. We are settling into our new home." Those words felt like a knife to her heart. Their home, not her home, not the house where she had raised him. Mama Yetunde began to feel restless. The people around her started whispering, their voices carrying stories of how she had mistreated Nia, how she had tried to destroy her own son's happiness. Women shook their heads when she walked past. Men avoided eye contact, and even the elders, who once admired her strength, now looked at her with disappointment. One day, at the market, she overheard two women talking. "Did you hear what happened with Mama Yetunde?" One whispered. "Yes," the other replied. "She drove her son and his wife away with her wickedness. Now look at her, all alone." Mama Yetunde's face burned with shame. She wanted to shout, to defend herself, but deep inside, she knew the truth. She had spent so many years trying to control Jabari that she never thought about what would happen if he finally broke free. Now, she was losing him. For the first time in her life, she felt something she had never truly felt before: regret. The house was silent, too silent. Mama Yetunde sat in her large living room, staring at the empty chair where Jabari used to sit. The same chair where he would laugh, tell her about his day, and listen to her advice. Now it was just a piece of furniture, cold, lifeless, untouched. She had spent so many years believing she was protecting him. She thought she was making the best choices for him, guiding him like a good mother should. But now, as she sat alone, she realized the painful truth. She had pushed him away. No one visited her anymore. The once busy house, filled with people coming to seek her wisdom, now felt like a prison. The whispers in the community had grown louder. Some pitied her, others shook their heads in disapproval. But worst of all, Jabari had stopped calling. Days turned into weeks. She tried reaching out to him, but his replies were short, distant. He was still respectful, but she could hear it in his voice. He no longer needed her the way he once did. He had built his own life, a life she was no longer a part of. One evening, she picked up an old photo album. Flipping through the pages, she saw pictures of Jabari as a child, his bright eyes full of love for his mother. She touched the photos, tears filling her eyes. Where had that love gone? She thought about Nia, the young woman she had treated so cruelly. She remembered every insult, every harsh word, every moment she had made her life miserable. Nia had only wanted to be loved, to be accepted, and instead of welcoming her, Mama Yetunde had turned her into an enemy. For the first time, she felt true regret, not just because she had lost control over Jabari, but because she had hurt the very people who loved him most. Her chest felt heavy as a single tear rolled down her cheek. She whispered to herself, "What have I done?" Mama Yetunde stood outside Jabari and Nia's house, her heart pounding. For the first time in her life, she felt small, unsure. The woman who once controlled everything now had to do something she never imagined: ask for forgiveness. She hesitated before knocking on the door. Would they even let her in? Would Nia, after all the pain she had caused, even be willing to listen? The thought made her want to turn back, but deep inside, she knew she had to do this. She had to face the truth. The door opened, and there stood Nia. She looked surprised to see Mama Yetunde, but her face remained calm, unreadable. Behind her, Jabari appeared, his protective gaze landing on his mother. "Mama," Jabari said, his voice cautious. Mama Yetunde swallowed hard. She had practiced what she would say 100 times, but now, standing before them, all words escaped her. Finally, she lowered her head and whispered, "I came to say I am sorry." Nia's eyes widened slightly, but she said nothing, waiting for her to continue. Mama Yetunde took a deep breath. "I was wrong. I let my pride, my fears, and my past control me. I hurt you, Nia. I treated you unfairly. I tried to break your marriage, and I see now that I was blinded by my own pain. But my biggest mistake was forgetting that my son's happiness is not mine to control." Silence filled the air. Jabari stared at his mother, his expression softening. Nia's hands rested on her growing belly, as if she were protecting the life inside her from the past pain. Then, Nia finally spoke. "Mama, I never wanted to take Jabari away from you. I just wanted to love him, and I wanted you to love me too." Mama Yetunde felt her chest tighten. How had she not seen it before? This young woman, the one she had tried so hard to push away, had only ever wanted to be part of the family. Tears welled in her eyes. "I was wrong, my daughter. I see that now. Please, can you forgive me?" For a moment, there was no answer. Then, Nia took a deep breath and nodded. "I forgive you, Mama." Relief washed over Mama Yetunde, but before she could say anything else, Nia continued, her voice gentle but firm. "But things must be different now. I will not allow the past to repeat itself. I will not allow toxicity into my home, into my marriage, or into my child's life." Mama Yetunde nodded slowly, understanding. She had lost control, and she could never get it back. This was not her house. This was not her marriage. She was no longer the center of Jabari's world, and that was okay. She looked at Nia with new eyes, not as a threat, but as the woman who loved her son, the mother of her grandchild. "I will try to be better," she promised. And for the first time in a long time, Mama Yetunde felt a warmth in her heart that she had almost forgotten, the warmth of a family healing. The cries of a newborn filled the hospital room, breaking the silence of the night. Jabari held his tiny daughter in his arms, his eyes filled with love and wonder. Beside him, Nia lay in bed, exhausted but smiling, her heart overflowing with joy. Their family had grown. Their love had created life. Mama Yetunde stood at the doorway, watching the scene with tears in her eyes. She had never felt this kind of emotion before. So much joy, so much love, and a deep longing to be part of it. But she also knew she had to be careful. She was still learning. She could no longer demand things her way. She had to earn her place in this new chapter of their lives. Slowly, she stepped forward. "Can I hold her?" she asked, her voice softer than it had ever been. Jabari looked at Nia, who met his gaze. After a brief moment, Nia nodded, handing the baby to Mama Yetunde. As she held her granddaughter for the first time, something inside Mama Yetunde shifted. This tiny life was a fresh start, a chance to be better, to do things differently. She gently rocked the baby, feeling her warmth, and whispered, "You are so lucky, little one. Your parents love you so much." She looked at Nia, truly seeing her, not as an enemy, not as a rival, but as the mother of her grandchild. "Thank you," she said, surprising even herself. Nia smiled, understanding what those simple words meant. Mama Yetunde knew she still had a long way to go. She would make mistakes. She would struggle to let go of old habits. But for the first time, she was ready to try. Not for herself, but for her son, for Nia, and most of all, for the new life she now held in her arms. As the baby let out a soft sigh and snuggled into her, Mama Yetunde felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. This was a new beginning, and she was ready to embrace it.